Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be all about my best brushes for 2018. I did my best in beauty video and I was really planning to be done. And then I thought about it. I really wanted to add in skincare. So I just filmed that video and now I'm filming my best brushes. And I've never really compiled all of my best brushes into one video before. I've talked about them in my favorites, but this is my first time talking to you guys about my brushes in one video. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it won't be too long, but you guys know it probably will be. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for joining me for today's video. And if you're new to my channel, go ahead and click that subscribe button. That way you won't miss any of my uploads. I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a long video, so get your snacks ready. I have a couple of cups here with some of my makeup brushes here. And I won't go into depth about every brush, but I'm going to try to pick out my favorite brushes for different parts of the face. But I'm also going to give you guys some honorable mentions and other brushes that I use for that same application. I'm not a makeup artist, I'm a makeup enthusiast. Honestly guys, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was using these little MAC travel size brushes. At least they were MAC Cosmetics, but they were like travel size. And they fit in like a little bitty pouch, and that's what I used to apply my makeup every day. I don't even know if I could tell you what a blending brush was. So I've upped my makeup game and I feel pretty good about it. And I want to share now what I use to create my makeup looks. These aren't brushes I discovered this year. These are brushes I've used this year, and I've been using many of them for many years. First, let's talk about foundation. So there are brushes that you can use to apply your foundation, and then you may use something else to buff your foundation out. And typically I just used buffing brushes, and I was skipping the step of applying the foundation until recently. And I purchased this Pro Foundation brush. This is the number 47 from Sephora. And I actually cleaned all my brushes for this video, guys. So I will pump my foundation on this brush and I just apply it all over the face. And then I will go in with a buffing brush. So I really like this. This brush is really good for applying foundation. For buffing, I went back to this brush by Tarte. I can't remember the name of it. I'll link them down below. But this is a buffing brush by Tarte. And these are synthetic fibers, even though they're white. So just because you see white fibers doesn't always mean that it is animal hair. My daughter loves this brush, and she borrowed my first brush. So she gave me the money for it, and I bought a new one. So this one is a new one. And so once I purchased it, I decided to try it again. I'd gotten away from using it. I've been using it ever since to buff out my foundation. This is my buffing brush of choice by Tarte. These are honorable mentions. This is also a buffing brush. This is Pro Flawless Airbrush, and this is the number 56 brush by Sephora. And this is a very small buffing brush for applying foundation. This is new to my collection. I do like this brush, especially because sometimes I can apply my foundation and then also use it to buff out concealer or any other products like that. And it's smaller. So if you like a smaller brush for buffing foundation, then this is also very good. This is the It Cosmetics Heavenly Skin Brush, and this is an honorable mention. I bought this year, and it is really good for buffing out foundation, but I just typically use my Tarte brush, but I wanted to mention it. If you're looking for something that is this shape, you would really like it, and it's got some anti-aging properties. It's supposed to be really good for aging skin. This It Cosmetics brush is a foundation buffing brush, Airbrush foundation brush. And I never have used this to apply foundation because I have another purpose. I use this to buff out any harsh lines that I have after all of my makeup applications. So foundation, bronzer, contour, this is what I use this for, but it is a foundation brush and it is really good. So that's my number one brush for that purpose, but I do want to say it's a foundation brush. The brush that I like to use to buff out my concealer is this Kabuki brush. It's a 3D Kabuki brush by Sigma. And I'm not even sure what I bought this for. I don't know what I thought I was going to use it for, but I ended up liking it for concealer and sometimes contour. See how it fits right here? And you can just buff out your contour and kind of buff up. But it also fits right here. And so I buff out my concealer with this brush, and I love it for that purpose. It's soft and the bristles are dense, so it helps to buff out the concealer in a way that doesn't show texture. Like, it smooths it out really well because it's such a dense brush. So I really like this. This is a Morphe E58 brush, and it may not look like this on the website, but this is what it looks like when you get it in the mail. It's like an angled brush. I think when I purchased it, I was going to use it to apply contour powder or bronzer, and I ended up liking it for just applying powder. So someone here even noticed this brush and asked what it was. So I dip it in the powder, and it just fits right here under the eye, and it is so perfect for applying powder and even all over the face. And it gives me a lot of control when I apply my powder, and my powder isn't going everywhere. That's why I like this brush. So the brush that I like to use to apply brow powder is this angled liner brush by ColourPop. I have some others, and I will use them if I can't put my hands on this, but I hate it. So I really prefer this. It's very sleek, and I don't know what it is about the bristles. They're just perfect for my brows, and it's firm. It doesn't like collapse on me when I'm applying it, and it gives me, like, if I want a really crisp line, it's easy to achieve that with this. Since it's a brush that I need, like, I don't like using anything else for my brows, I really like having a backup of something like this, because if I lose this, what am I gonna do? Be walking around here with crazy looking brows. This is the M4 32, and it looks like this. I think it's like a definer brush by Morphe, and I like using brushes that look like this for my concealer. That's what I like using the most. I just carve out my brows with this brush. I have others that I can use, but I don't like the angled ones as much. Like, I don't like them as much as this one. So this is my favorite brush for carving out my brows. And you could also use this, like a lot of people use it to tight line under their eyes and do all of that I don't do. But you can use it for that purpose. I also use these Sigma brushes sometimes to carve out my brows, and this is the concealer F75 brush, and it is the E62 cut crease brush. I have had to use them sometimes to carve out my brows if I couldn't put my hands on that, but I do prefer these for cut creases. So I'm skipping ahead since I am mentioning these. These are the two brushes that I use if I'm creating a cut crease. This one is good, but it is larger, and this one just is a little bit smaller and easier to use. This is a Real Techniques brush, and I think it's a foundation brush. But it is the brush that I use to actually wipe away concealer under my eye whenever I carve out my brows. And this is my preferred brush. I have another one from Sigma. This is a Sigma large concealer brush. Maybe that's what this is. This is probably a concealer brush. It says F65, and they're shaped the same. And I like using the Real Techniques one or this one. This is a little flimsier, so this one's firmer. I like this one. They're densely packed, and the hair, what is this called? The bristles stay in place as I am wiping the concealer, and it's just easy to use these to remove concealer. This is my favorite. This is my backup. When I'm ready to dust off my powder, I like to use this 92 fan brush. This is a Pro Featherweight fan brush by Sephora, and I purchased it to apply bronzer because I'd heard someone say it was really good for bronzer. And I don't know if I have ever used it for that because it's so light and fluffy. I felt like it might not pick up the bronzer as well unless it was one of those really powdery type bronzers. So I just decided not to use it for that. And I started using it to dust off powder on my face. And it's just the quickest way to remove the powder from your face after you're baking. After you're done baking, I like to just dust everything off with this fan brush. So I like it for that. Lord, oil brushes. Hang in there with me. So my number one blending brush, and it has been for a while. I bought two of them. My number one blending brush is the E40 brush by Sigma. And when I first ordered these, it took me a while to get used to them because they kind of have a square head. And these are synthetic brushes, and they're kind of square on the top. I really like blending out my crease color with these. I can apply transition. They are really good all-purpose blending brush. So I typically grab these. That's why I bought a second one. If I want a more defined crease, then I will pull my diffused crease E38 brush, which looks a lot like the E40 brush, except it's a little bit smaller. Okay, it looks a lot like that one, except the head is a little bit smaller, but it's very similar. It's really good for getting in that crease and diffusing it exactly what it says. So I love using that for my crease. These brushes are really good for blending out any harsh lines that you have. And these are by Morphe, and they are the Morphe E23 and Morphe E30 brush. And I recently rediscovered these this year. I've had them a while. They're probably some of the first brushes I purchased, and I decided to go back and start using them again. And so I like using them to blend out any harsh lines that I see here. So if I have a line that I'm just like trying to get rid of, if I whip one of these out, then I'm able to buff out that line really quickly. So these are good for that. Sephora Pro Featherweight Crease. This is an honorable mention. And I like using this in the crease. It's a little bit more tapered. And so I'm able to really define that crease area. And I'm even able to get on the inner corner. So it's an honorable mention. I just got it this year. I've really been enjoying it. I recently picked up this Sephora Pro Blending Brush and I love it. I think it's supposed to be like the MAC 217, I think is that brush that everybody talks about. I still don't have that one. And this is supposed to be similar. And to me, these other brushes are very similar. This is a Smith brush, and then this is the Morphe 433 brush. It's a little bit firmer. It's a little firmer. And then this is a Zoeva brush. This is the 228 crease. This one, this little Morphe brush, I love using this in the corner, like in that outer corner. It's a firmer brush. And this one I blend all over and also the corners. So all of these brushes can give you a beautiful all over blend, but they're also really good for those tight places. And they're just nice and fluffy and just a good general blending brush. And of all of them, I think that this Sephora one is my favorite right now. So I just wanted to mention them all. Whichever one you can get your hands on, they'll all perform very similarly. These are OG brushes. These were like in the first little batch of blending brushes that I purchased, and I have to have these. This is the Morphe M411, the Morphe M507, and the Morphe M506. This one is a little bit bigger and it's perfect for the outer corner. I like using it for that, and these small ones are good to get in the inner corner, outer corner. If you really want to define the crease and get a more precise line and placement of product, then you really need these little small blending brushes for detail. Pro Shadow Brush number 14 by Sephora. I bought this a while ago and I can't live without this brush. I love using this to apply shadow to my lid. The one thing about this brush though, even though it doesn't look that big, it's kind of a big eyeshadow brush. So if I'm just doing one shadow all over the lid, it's perfect for that. But when I get ready to kind of get the inner corner, if I want it to be more precise, I can't always achieve that with this brush, but I have to have this one. So then I like using, right now I've been loving this Morphe M167 brush whenever I'm if I want a precise line, because this is a very firm, like it is a very firm shadow brush. It is not fluffy. It really gives you beautiful color payoff, and it allows you to really carve out a line. You can almost get a cut crease with this brush without doing a cut crease, and you can really get very precise placement. I just love this brush. I think I got this one this year. Some other brushes that I am enjoying, these are just mentions, and any of them will be good. Morphe M124, the Pro Shader 18 by Sephora, the Pro Packing Shadow by Sephora, and that's number 13. And this is the Morphe M124, and then I have a Smith 253. These are all small shadow brushes, and some are for packing, but Any one of these would be really good for applying eyeshadow. Like this Smith one is pointed, and so it's really good for like carving out little lines and getting into small places. So these are important, especially like I got this one from Sephora so that I could really get that inner corner. And if I want precision, it's not so difficult to achieve. Some of the other brushes are just too big. This is a little tiny shader brush, and I really like having this in my collection. So these are all of my little small shader brushes that I really love having. Some are affordable, some are not so affordable. Okay, oh, I missed one. I'm sorry. I also have like this one. This is the Sephora Small Shadow number 15. This is also a small shadow brush that I just got, and I really like it for applying eyeshadow. Okay, these are my Sigma. This one is good. This is the Exact Blend Brush E32, and it is really good if you're really trying to pack shadow in the corner. I have a lot of brushes for packing eyeshadow in the corner. The Short Shader Brush E20 is good for applying eyeshadows underneath. I actually use both of these for that purpose, but this one is for sure the shadow brush that I use for buffing out eyeshadows underneath my lash line, and they look like this. So they're very unique in their shape, but I am so happy that I purchased them and will definitely keep them in my collection. Do not want to lose these. I love these brushes. I missed one of my Zoeva brushes that I want to mention that I also like. This is the Zoeva 227 brush. Also just a really great blending brush by Zoeva. I think they're in the UK, and so you're going to have to wait a while if you order from them, and I just wanted to try their brushes and see if they're any good, and they are good brushes. I haven't made a second purchase, but I did buy 2 brushes, and I do like these. These 2 brushes are my favorite for my inner tear duct highlight. This is the Morphe M326 brush. This is the Morphe E36 brush. Morphe E36 brush. Both of these are really good for your inner tear duct highlight, but I like this pencil brush. This is the Morphe E36. I like this one the best. It is the one that I'm going to reach for every time to get that inner tear duct highlight. This is the Sigma Winged Liner E06. So I haven't used this for gel liner as much lately. I've been using my liner pens. But whenever I use gel, this is the tool I want, the only tool. So this is another one of those liner brushes that if I lose this one, I don't know what I'm going to do. It is now the only brush, like I tried a lot of different things. This is the only brush I use to create wing liner. I missed another Morphe brush. This is the Morphe M166 brush. This is also a really good shadow brush. Sorry I missed it. Those are the blending brushes and eyeshadow brushes that I really like that I wanted to talk to you guys about. That's what my collection looks like right now, but this year I really want to work on adding on to my collection and trying out some more high-end brushes. I just want to see if it makes a difference in my eyeshadow looks. Moving on to bronzer. My OG brush for applying bronzer, I gotta tell you guys about. It's a Sephora Angled Blush Brush. I can't tell you anything else about it because I've had it that long and the writing is gone. I started using this brush because I went to Sephora to look for another brush that I saw a beauty guru using, and they didn't have that brush. And so I looked for another angled blush brush, and this one was the one I picked up, and I'm so happy I did. It fits right here, so you can use it for contour. You can use it for blush too. And what I like about it for bronzer is that it diffuses the bronzer. So because it's angled, it is easy to kind of give you this diffused bronze look. So it's lighter here and it kind of fades. It fades up because of the angle. And so it's just really easy. It really picks up product well, and it's just easy to apply bronzer but not go overboard. These are my Tom Ford brushes. I have 2 of them. And this is the 05 brush. This is the bronzer brush. And I have used this one more this year for bronzer than my OG, but I had to mention the Sephora Angled Blush Brush because I still cannot live without that brush. But I really started using this. This is a natural fiber brush, and it picks up product like you would not believe. Like, you only have to dab it a little bit and you get so much bronzer. It's effortless application. And some people have said like the brush is too big, but I don't think so. I just think it's perfect, and you can really quickly buff out bronzer, and it is a beautiful application. One tip that I would have for you guys if you're using a natural hair, like this is, I guess, goat hair maybe. The bristles were getting a little prickly and I was like, that's kind of uncomfortable. So when I wash them now, I apply conditioner because I'm like, this is real hair. So maybe if you apply conditioner, it will soften the bristles, and it does. So I wash them with my normal product that I use to wash my brushes, and then I apply like a really affordable conditioner, and I just leave it on there for a few seconds and rinse it out really good. And the bristles are so much softer after doing that. That's just a little tip. But this is so worth the money. It's a splurge, so I'm not telling you guys to go out and buy this. I think this was over $100. I can't remember what I paid for it. I think it was very expensive, but it is so good. This is also another Tom Ford brush, and you could actually purchase this one for bronzer as well, but I like to use this for contour, and it is a blush brush, so sometimes I have used it for that purpose as well. Very good. If I get shinier as my videos play, it's because it gets hot in this room with the candles burning. It's like that's fire. Fire. Stay with me, guys. We're getting to the end. My cup is getting empty. Okay, my cups were getting empty. I wanted to put this brush over here because it's a Real Techniques brush that is shaped just like my Tom Ford brush. If you're looking for an affordable option, this is like a multitasking type brush, but I think it's a powder brush. I use it for bronzer, I use it for powder, I use it for dusting powder off. I like this brush and it's affordable. Let's talk a little bit about my products like my Absolute Powder. I like using this brush by Morphe. It's the M406 brush. And I just pick up the powder in the cap and I just dust it all over. And these little bristles just are perfect for applying it and not overwhelming the face since it's a glow product. So I like using this brush for that, and I have to have it for that. Like I don't like any other brush to apply my Absolute Golden Powder by Lancome. Like this is the only brush that I'll use for that. And here's another one. These brushes have a name. I just don't know what it is. This is the Luxie 516 Duo Fiber. That's what they are. Duo Fiber powder brush. And this one I like to use when I'm using my IT Cosmetics Confidence in Your Glow palette. And then there's another one I just bought by Becca. Like when I'm mixing blushes and bronzers together, I like using this product. And it just so ever so gently and softly applies the product and just blends it out. So if you're looking for like an airbrush type flawless application of the product and you don't want to put a lot of effort into it, these brushes are just so good for that. I don't know why, I just like it for that. But you can use it to apply highlighter, use it to apply blush. There's a lot of uses for this brush, but that's why I need it and that's why I have to have it to apply products like my Confidence in Your Glow. Because the Confidence in Your Glow brush looks similar to this. They sell their own brush. It looks like this one. And I looked at my collection and found it and said, let's see how this works. And it works really good. So I like it for that. All right, other like contour. I got this Shade and Light brush by Kat Von D. And I really like this brush. It's a really soft brush. And it gives you a more soft, natural contour, I believe. So I like using it to contour with, but I use this little end here as like under eye highlight. I also use it to dust on powder. Like I'll put the powder here when I'm baking and do all down the center of my face. And this is a very soft brush. Okay, so if you like more of a chiseled, like super defined contour, this still can achieve that, but if you like more of a natural contour, I just like this brush. So I'm really happy I bought it. Number one blush brush for the year is this. It's my Ray Ray brush number 2. This brush came as a part of a set, and it's so soft, and I don't know why, but I just love it for blush now. When I opened this package, this was the brush that I navigated to the most out of this set of brushes. So those brushes are really affordable and very good. I like all of them, but this one is my number one blush brush. Honorable mention for blush. This is the Pro Precision Blush Brush by Sephora. It's the number 73 brush. I bought it this year and it is shaped like this. I talked about it in a recent video. I just got it, so I won't say it's a favorite for the year, but it really precisely places the blush. It is very unique in its shape, but it is very precise in the placement. So I really like this for blush as well, and will continue to use it. Very happy I bought it. Some unique brushes that I didn't mention that I want to talk about for my nose contour. I like using the Sigma 3D HD Precision brush. It's like a baby 3D HD Kabuki, like the other brush I use for my contouring stuff and for my concealer areas, except it's tiny. And I really like using this for my nose contour. It's probably good for applying concealer, I guess, but I never use it for that. I always use it to apply my nose contour. See how it fits right there? And it's one of those tightly dense packed brushes, and so it's just really easy to blend out your nose contour. So I love this. Then what I like to do is buff it out with this Airbrush concealer brush, and I like to buff out my nose contour lines with this smaller buffing brush by It Cosmetics. And it's just like the foundation brush that I showed you earlier, except it's tinier. So I love this brush, gotta have it. My number one highlighter brush is the It's My Ray Ray by BH Cosmetics, and it's the number 4 brush, and it looks like this, and it is meant for highlighter, okay? And it picks up highlighter, guys, and just places it right there, and beautiful highlighter application. I love it. This brush replaced my Sigma fan brush that I love. And if I want more like pop-in highlighter, then I'll use this, because when you use this fan brush, it's going to be like booming highlight. I like to use this now. It's the one I have grabbed ever since I demoed it here on my channel, who knows when ago. This is the one I've been using. And I also this year purchased this Pro Fan Detail brush by Sephora. It's the number 62 brush, and it looks like this, and it is also very good for applying highlighter. Okay, so if you're looking for a fan brush, this Sephora fan brush is also really good for highlighter. All right, everyone, so those are the brushes that have gotten me through the year 2018. And in some cases, 17, 16, 15. I hope that I have been able to share some brushes with you guys that you may want to go and check out and find out more information about. If you want more details about anything, then feel free to ask me any questions. I will respond. I'll link the brushes down below, as many as I can, because there's so many brushes, you know, there's limits to how much you can put in the description box. I'll be seeing you guys again very soon in my next video. So until the next time we meet again, this is Savvy, signing out.